you have a specific lens with which you look through in terms of
Hmm.
what is a reliable news source. And I know that
Yep.
we've sort of talked about this a little bit in the past, one-on-one, but tell me your thought process for what you consider to be a good news source, and really like what you need to look out for today,
Yep.
especially on platforms like LinkedIn.
Yeah. So I think, first and foremost, to me, I think that the benefit of the real estate markets now is the amount of data that's out there, and the amount of data sources that are out there. So I would tell you that, I and people have a lot of mixed thoughts about CoStar. CoStar can be viewed as a monopoly. I tend to love CoStar. I think they put out really good information, and more importantly, they allow you as a practitioner to do your own research and curate your own data. And CoStar is sort of benign to the fact of, sort of the data is just the data, meaning what occupancy is in a project. They're fairly accurate, but they don't care if it's gone up or gone down. They're just putting out the data, and they make money based on the data and companies subscribing. So they don't necessarily make more or less money if the market goes up and down, right? And
Mm,
so I would tell you that nowadays, I generally do a lot of my own research, which means I'm going on CoStar. I also subscribe to Trepp, so I have access to loan data, or I can study the loans and look up certain things. And so I'm constantly trying to use the data from CoStar. The market research reports that they have, I think are really good. Their data on, if you look at multifamily, new supply, they've gotten much better over the years on the multifamily side by buying apartments.com on their data. And so I think I'm trying to find unfiltered sort of data on my own for me to sort of triangulate, not going to news
mm,
sources. Because where I get a little bit, you know, I won't always trust news sources, good or bad, right? And I'm not trying to say there's a bunch of fake news out there. I'm just saying you when you look at, I'll give you an example. If you look at a multifamily market, you can skew data. Let's say if you were a brokerage firm, you could skew data to say, oh, the market's not that bad, and the various things. What I like about doing my own research on CoStar's just data. And so you can manipulate it. So I think that's important. I think I told you this on LinkedIn. I unfollow a lot of people. And what I do is, first off, if anybody ever posts something political, I always unfollow. I don't go on LinkedIn to talk about politics. That's just like a secondary thing. You'll never, I mean, I think it'd be rare if you ever see me post about politics.
mhm.
I don't care about anybody else's politics. And you're not going to solve anything by talking about politics on LinkedIn. But I really want to try to find and curate my own feed on LinkedIn from people that I think are being authentic, that are putting out good content, that are trying to put out things that maybe don't benefit themselves, but are just true about what's going on. And so I'm very careful about, making sure my personal LinkedIn feed is content that's high quality and that's really authentic. I tend to read, both nationally and locally. So, I read the Wall Street Journal almost every day. I tend to like that. That's kind of more macro. As it comes to real estate, I read my local Orange County Business Journal. I'll always read, the Real Deal I subscribe to and I like. I'll get, Globe Street and BizNow. But I'm always doing some of that with just sort of a watchful eye. Um,
Right.
and I get Commercial Real Estate Direct now that I've got Trepp, which I think is a pretty good news source. I don't subscribe to it, but Real Estate Alert's a great news source too. So
Yeah, those are really great tips, because I think this question here is something that we've talked a lot about, which is what is the truth, because it is difficult to discern with all of the media, I mean, even this podcast included, right? So I'm bringing people on, they're sharing their opinions. Should I listen to him or her? Conferences, like you mentioned, other posts on LinkedIn. What is real? And I think that's a challenge with what is news today.